Hi, good day everybody. It's the Old Gits again, here to discuss anything financial, anything topical out there in the markets at the moment. We've covered in the last couple of episodes the economic crisis, employee types, how important money is to people. Joined obviously again today by Lee Glasser, my good friend. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
How grumpy are you today?
Grumpy enough to make this entertaining.
Good. I like him being grumpy.
Thank you.
We love grumpy. Okay, so today we're going to talk about certain misconceptions around self-employment or the self-employed versus employment argument.
Okay.
I thought it might be worthwhile bringing this up because obviously we're out there on a regular basis talking to people about transitioning onto the TMS platform, and quite often we wonder why there are the blockers that there are. And I think, from being out there, one of the things is, you work for one. I think one of the main misconceptions is if you work for one specific business, you have to be employed. That's not actually correct, is it?
No.
No? Okay. Can you explain to our lovely people why that is?
Working for a various number of clients is not it's not a test of employment.
Right.
It's not a test of employment or self-employment. How you work with that company and the terms of that engagement are what determines whether that person is employed or self-employed. It's not number of years. It's not that you're only working with one person. It's all to do with how you work with that person and what your job role is within there, that the revenue will look at what's classified as badges of trade.
Right.
So you can determine whether or not that person can be employed or self-employed. But certainly number of people you work for is not one of them.
Okay. So it's more to do with the contractual arrangement.
It's 100% to do with the
Right.
contractual arrangement.
Okay. A lot of individuals say to me they're concerned about losing their rights. Talk to me about that.
So there are different types of rights. There are employment rights and there are statutory rights.
Yep.
Your statutory rights do not mean that you have to be employed by someone. If you're on a train and somebody abuses you on the train for being an old git, for being racist or sexist or whateverist, you can sue that person. You have your statutory rights as a human being.
That still exists in the workplace. That's what you're
If
saying.
somebody offends you in any way, shape or form, you can sue them through the British courts. You don't have to be employed to do that. So they are your statutory rights. If you then move them into the workplace, then you still have those rights. Whether you're employed, self-employed, whether you come in to drop off a delivery, you still have rights within that organisation.
But I think the point that most people tend to make is around security. Okay. Now I've got a great answer for this because I get hit with it all the time.
Okay.
And
Hit me with your great answer.
Well, to be honest with you, I actually got it from one of our clients because when we were explaining to the guys exactly how the platform worked, a young man stood up and basically said, "Oh, so I can do this and I can do that and what have you." And the business owner just looked at him and said, "If you were to do that tomorrow, what would happen?" He said, "I'd get hauled over to Coles, get a written warning, and then I'd be out the door." The business owner looked and said, "Listen, let me tell you one thing." He said, "If I want you out the door," he said, "all I've got to do is follow due process and you're gone." So no one's got any real security, have they, in a job? If I'm working for you, if I'm employed working for you and we fall out and you want me out of the business, I'm going to go.
Eventually, I may have to pay. I may have to pay for you to go.
Well, most definitely. A large amount.
Yeah. I mean, that's to say that I would employ you in the first place.
Well, you probably wouldn't. So, yeah, let's move on. So there's that issue of security. So another couple of bits and pieces I've got. I can't get a mortgage.
It's just a nonsense.
Right.
There are plenty of self-employed, millions of self-employed people out there. What are they doing? Are they just sort of living in a cardboard box? You can get a mortgage. The minimum term for 1 year's worth of accounts, either as a self-employed person or in a limited company, is 1 year. that a
For
bank
accounts, yeah.
for a bank to look at you as a viable business entity to actually be able to get a mortgage.
Right.
So again, it's another misconception that you can't get a mortgage.
Right. Okay. So, all right. And then there's the loans as well. People say to me, "Well, what about a loan?" A loan's got nothing to do with it. So your credit rating, surely.
It's your credit rating, but I think you're actually more credible as a self-employed worker, whether you're a sole trader or a limited company, than you are as an individual.
Yeah.
Because I've now got a business that's trading. I've got money in my bank account that's tax money.
Yeah.
I am actually a proper bona fide business.
Yeah.
Whereas an employee could lose their job tomorrow and there's no security whatsoever.
Yeah.
So actually, security for a self-employed person, in my opinion, is stronger.
Right. Okay. So, in a challenging time, as we are at the moment,
Yeah.
blockers. One, the businesses that we speak to and that I speak to on a regular basis, and two, once that business has agreed that they'd like to offer their people the opportunity of making a transition, talking to the individuals, what are the blockers?
Well, the blockers for the company is that they perceive that they're going to lose their control over their staff. The blockers for the individual is, number one, in case there's furlough again,
Right.
which is not going to happen, and job security.
But we've discussed that. There really isn't any job security anyway.
But the perception is that, we've converted some people with 20 plus years service.
Exactly.
Because ultimately they've figured it out. They've figured it out that if you're in a sales environment, you're only as good, however way you want to look at it. And I know this might offend some people.
Yeah.
Number one.
You're good at offending people.
Yeah. Number one, there is very little brand loyalty today. If you're in a great business that treats people great, but somebody offers you another X amount of thousands of pounds to go and work across the road because of the crisis that we've spoken about, people are almost duty bound to go.
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
Okay.
And the second thing is that if you're in sales, if you're not hitting your KPIs, if you're not hitting your targets, I'm sorry, but that company, however good you have been to them and they have been to you, and they are going to look to move you on.
Yeah, no, they will do for sure.
So
strangely enough, I had a discussion yesterday with some people I was talking to on a training session. So we were talking about exactly the same thing. Yeah, which is crazy. But yeah, there are blockers, but there shouldn't be blockers. They shouldn't be. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's there at your fingertips. When you're talking about a business, I think we discussed earlier, if a business is flying high and hitting all the targets and everyone's having a great time and we introduce what we've got and there are a certain amount of savings there, maybe at that time the business might go, you know what, and not that there is any aggravation making the transition, but can I be bothered? But now, surely right now, with all the challenges that are out there at their fingertips, opportunity to massively decrease their obligations, their financial obligations, and also give their workforce a helping hand.
I don't get it, Steve. That people costs are the most expensive costs that a business can have. If you can reduce those costs legitimately, legally, and still be able to run your business, therefore reducing your overheads, increasing your profitability, or even allowing yourself to break even.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do it? And we are finding more and more people that we have spoken to 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, picking up the phone to us, picking up the phone to you, and going,
"Can we now talk to you?"
Yeah. We need to talk.
It's just we're not a priority. We seem to get it's a slow burner. And I don't get it in this current climate. Any of the new people I'm speaking to. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Lee, again for all your contributions.
Of course.
Hope we haven't offended anyone. We generally don't. But we look forward to seeing you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.